Have you ever felt like if you just disappeared, someone else could easily take your place? In your friendships, at your job, even in your relationships. It's this quiet, nagging feeling that you're valuable, sure, but not irreplaceable. Well, that fear isn't random. It's deeply psychological. Feeling replaceable doesn't always come from concrete evidence. More often, it comes from how we interpret the world around us. Our minds can create this fear even when there's no real threat. Today, we're going to break down why your mind does this, what attachment psychology reveals about it, and why our modern world seems to make this feeling stronger than ever before. Let's get into it. First, let's look at where this fear even starts. From an evolutionary standpoint, humans are wired to compete for belonging. Back in the day, your status and your connection to the group literally determined your survival. If you were cast out, your chances of making it were slim. So your brain developed a sort of internal monitoring system that is constantly, subconsciously asking, am I still needed here? Do I still have a place? When your role feels unstable or you notice someone else getting more attention, your nervous system flags it as a potential risk. And that risk shows up in your body and mind as comparison, anxiety, and a whole lot of self-doubt. It's not happening because you genuinely lack value, but because your brain is just doing its ancient job of monitoring your position within the group. It's a survival mechanism that hasn't quite caught up with modern life. And that brings us to the second point, social comparison in the 21st century. Our modern lives, especially with social media, pour gasoline on this ancient fear. Every time you scroll, you're bombarded with images of other people's lives. Social media constantly shows you options, alternatives, and endless new connections that your friends or partner could be making. Your brain sees this abundance and interprets it as a massive field of competition. Psychologists call this upward social comparison. You see someone who appears more interesting, more confident, more successful, or more visible, and your brain doesn't just see another person. It interprets them as a threat to your own standing. This can trigger that feeling of being replaceable even if, in reality, absolutely nothing is wrong with your relationships or your life. Your brain is just reacting to the perceived competition all around you. Now let's talk about attachment and what psychologists call conditional worth. If you grew up in an environment where love or approval felt conditional, meaning you only got it when you performed well, achieved something, or behaved a certain way, your brain learned a very powerful rule. My value depends on what I do. My worth is tied to my performance. As an adult, this programming can cause you to try harder than everyone else, to overgive in your relationships, and to overanalyze every single interaction. You're constantly trying to secure your spot. This isn't because you're fundamentally insecure or needy. It's because your nervous system has learned to equate consistency with safety. So, when a friend's attention shifts or a boss praises a coworker, you don't just see it as a normal event. You interpret it as a demotion, a sign that your value is decreasing and that you might soon be replaced. So why does this feeling of being replaceable hurt so much? It's because it triggers what's known as an identity threat. Our sense of belonging is deeply intertwined with our sense of self. Being part of a group, a friendship, or a relationship reinforces our self-concept. It tells us who we are. When it feels like someone else could just step in and replace you, your mind doesn't just worry about losing that role. It starts to question your very identity. It asks, was I ever really special to begin with? Psychology shows that humans have a deep-seated need to feel unique as a way of proving our worth. We want to believe there's something about us that can't be found in anyone else. So the fear isn't just about being replaced in a functional sense. It's about the terrifying thought of being ordinary, of being just another interchangeable part in someone else's life. But here's the most important part, the truth about replaceability. And it might be a little uncomfortable at first, but stick with me. Roles are replaceable, your presence is not. Let that sink in. Someone else can do your job. Someone else could be your partner's new partner. But they cannot and will not replicate your unique presence. They can't replicate your specific perception of the world, your unique emotional patterns, or the distinct imprint your personality leaves on others. Replaceability is about function. Irreplaceability is about identity. And your core identity, the very essence of who you are, cannot be copied. No one else has your memories, your experiences, your unique way of thinking, laughing, or loving. You are a one-time only event in the universe. So, in closing, that fear of being replaceable isn't proof that you are. It's actually proof that your brain deeply, fundamentally values belonging. It's a sign that you are human. The real shift happens when your self-worth stops depending on external validation, on someone else's attention or where you stand in comparison to others. When you start to build your worth from the inside out, that fear begins to soften. Because your value isn't determined by how many alternatives exist out there. It's determined by who you are when no one is watching, no one is judging, and no one is comparing. Thanks for watching.